It's time now for our Return of Life Before Loose series, where we share stories from our lives before we joined the show. And today, it's the turn of our very own Dame Kelly Holmes. Kelly, this is your life before Loose.
Amazing night, just being in that stadium and have the crowd lifting you. I've achieved my dream more than I ever thought.
It's like gold dust.
Try and be glamorous, balancing on those blades on the ice isn't quite me.
I know you can't get enough of my sound.
You know, I'm just this girl from a council estate, you know, just ran around with an afro and suddenly everybody knows who I am.
Oh, Kelly!
Oh,
I mean,
all the hairstyles.
All the hairstyles.
Oh.
Yeah. It's been an extraordinary life. It's like you've lived 10 lives in one. You really have. It's the best way to describe you. And if you don't mind, we're going to take you right back. As you look back on your youth and your childhood, very, very happy childhood. But your very early days were difficult, and your poor mum, Pam, was just 17 when she gave birth to you, and she was sort of encouraged to give you up as such, for your benefit almost at that time. But it affected you for a very long time after that as well, the repercussions of that. What are your memories of those very early days?
Yeah, so I was in a care home for the first 5 years of my life, but that was more because my mum was told by my grandparents that she was too young to look after me. And I was born and bred in Kent, so it was very white, you know, culture. I'm mixed race, obviously, and so it was a sort of very taboo in the 70s. So anyway, she put me in there to try and find herself, and I was very fortunate in a way that you know, she was strong enough not to give me up for adoption. They tried to get me about 3 times, and she went to sign papers and then didn't. So I feel like, you know, I really find that's the only one thing we had in common, like that strength of like, no. But yeah, so I think it was sort of complex in a way because, you know, I went to all-white schools. My siblings, my stepdad that brought me up, who's around my house, probably feeding the alpacas now, who brought me up since I was 5, was white. So it was just all I knew.
So you were in children's homes.
Yeah.
Your mum visited you.
Yeah.
And your dad had gone.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, he left before I was even 6 months, I think.
So no recollection or any connection with him at all?
Well, the funny thing is that I only met him when I was 16 because I bumped into my sister in the supermarket. It's a long story, really, but it's just the fact that I didn't know him at all, and we live in Kent, and it happened to be when I was 16, we were in the supermarket and I saw this mixed-race girl with this white woman, and they said my name and I wondered who it was, and anyway, cut a long story short, I found out that I had a sister and he was only living 6 miles away. Wow. He's my biological father, but I never had anything to do with him.
But the person that you call Dad, who you say really deserves that title and has all of your love, is your dad Mick?
Yes.
And I think you were 4 when Mum married Mick?
No, so 7 when they got married, 5 when he sort of...
And he's been a huge influence in your life.
Absolutely. I mean, I love him to bits, and the thing is, he separated from my mum. They got divorced when I was, like, 19, separated when I was 17, but he still stayed in my life, and that's, like, very, very special. I think step-parents should get a lot of credibility as well when they take on their family. But, yeah, I suppose the repercussions of it all, which you asked the question, was the fact that you have this detachment sometimes. You feel, is your parents going to leave you again?
Like an abandonment.
I remember, like, crying my eyes out in the care home. And I think even as an adult, you can have a lot of childhood trauma, and there's lots of other things that happened. But I think that kind of blended family wasn't really an issue to me when I was younger, because kids don't know... Kids are taught hate and difference and bullying. I was just at school as a kid. Yeah. And it was only when Brown Girl in the Ring, Boney M, was sang, and I was the one in the middle. And I'm like... I must be
But when you
different.
went to school,
Yeah.
when you went to secondary school, is that when you discovered you loved athletics and when you made real friends? Because I often think that primary school is so competitive and I mean, just talking about my own experience at primary school, I can only remember lots of fights and like not fitting in particularly, and it was quite hard. But then when you go to secondary school, is that where you found friends?
Yeah, so I'm best friends with my friends from day one at school, Kerry, Lara and Kim. We see each other all the time. So that's actually Lara next to me and Kim next to Paul, and Kerry's taken the photo. But we're best friends and we meet up all the time, and also with my PE teacher. And I wasn't academic, there we all are. We meet her all the time, but I wasn't academic at all. And I honestly say I went to school for my friendships and PE. And it was my PE teacher, Debbie Page, that almost got me aside and said, you can be good, but you have to believe in yourself. And you're winning all these races at school, so, you know, I think you should take it up. And I won my first cross-country race because she forced me into cross-country. I mean, who likes cross-country? It's wet, wind, mud.
Horrible,
I had a big afro like that. That's a wind stop. You know what I mean? Air-Tex see-through shirts and plimsolls. But it was her. You know, I always believe that one person in life can make a huge difference to people, and especially young people. And I would say that she made an instrumental difference to me because I never forgot that throughout my whole life. In fact, when
And it was all of a sudden, you talk about those abandonment issues as a youngster, but suddenly there were these key people in your life who were making big differences. Your dad, your mum, obviously, now your teacher, your friends as you grow up. You suddenly find your people, and that starts to change you and make you feel a bit more confident, I guess, about everything. And the sport thing was also a big part of that. You'd find your niche.
Yeah, I think you find your identity when you feel valid, let's say. So having friendship groups and being good at running, everyone then wanted to be with
Your
Kelly.
friend, yeah.
You know what I mean? So when I'm outside the classroom most of the time, because I could not adapt. I mean, if I got tested, you know, we know that people get tested now. I definitely had dyslexia and I probably had a lot of other difficulties. I'm not a really bad reader, and I'm not ashamed of it. I'm just a really bad reader, and I don't compute things very well, very quickly, should I say. It takes a long time to process. But when you're outside the classroom, you feel invalid. You just think, what's the point? But then I came alive, like when I ran around the track and I was beating everyone and everyone was telling me I was good. It just made me feel so empowered, and that was where I felt Kelly. And it was a special moment for that. So my PE teacher got me to go to the local athletics track, and I met my first coach, Dave Arnold, this guy with white floppy hair and Wellington boots. And he said to me, go run around the track and don't stop talking. And I was like, because I've heard you don't stop talking. And I got back at the end of it, I was like, why are you making us talk? He said, one day you will need all the breath that you've got, because if you want to be a good runner, you have to control your breathing. It was all these little things that I didn't know as a 12-year-old was anything. And, yeah, I went on to win English Schools Championship 6 months after starting running, 1,500.
But again, like you say, a lot of that was sparked from the passion from your PE teacher, Miss Page, and your friends and the support of everybody. And we are so chuffed and delighted to tell you that Miss Page is here today alongside your best friend, Kerry. Please come
to leave home a little bit when I was younger, and I went to live with my best friend, Kerry, and her mum, who I love. I love you too. And Debbie, she knows it anyway, like literally, she...
Or Miss
almost
Page, I'm
saved
sorry,
me.
it's Miss Page.
Page.
Teachers
Page.
will always be
I know.
Miss Page.
Please still call her Miss Page.
You still do, yeah, you lot do. And actually, can I just say, teachers do not get the credit. Debbie's only just left our school, right? It's a bit political. And retired after how many years?
44.
Wow. 44 years. And all she got was a little voucher. No. She should be getting an MBE.
Well, Kelly, what she did get was you. I have to say, that you saw something in her from very early,
Yeah.
didn't you? You just knew there was something very special about her.
I suppose it was the beginning when she was in year 7 and I was the awful person who persuaded her. I didn't force her. I just nicely asked her. And after about 10-minute discussion, it was, oh, OK, I'll do that. And then, of course, she ran the race, never having done that far. And, of course, she was annoyed because she got beaten by the girl who had done running for lots.
Stacey. Yeah. And look at her. She's in her professional kit and her spikes.
And you're
I'm
in
school
skirt.
uniform. But I came second on that
That's
race.
right.
And I remember just getting beaten and that feeling in my stomach of losing was awful. And I remember saying, I don't want to lose again.
I love that you remember all the names of the people that beat you. To see that, Stacey. Well, look, we're going to let you have a very quick chat. We're going to go to a quick break because we have lots more clearly to talk about. For now, Miss Paige, Kerry, thank you so much for staying here today. Thank you.